Hello, this is the Vietnam Social News Update for October 7th, 2025. Date of news coverage, October 7th, 2025. Politics. Recent developments in Vietnam's political landscape are capturing attention both domestically and internationally. One of the most notable events is the imminent state visit of Communist Party leader To Lem to North Korea. While preparations are still underway, this trip is expected to mark the first visit by a Vietnamese leader to Pyongyang since 2007. The visit carries symbolic weight, reaffirming ideological ties, signaling continuity in Vietnam's foreign policy, and sending a message to both traditional and emerging partners that Hanoi remains confident and deliberate in its diplomatic outreach. Meanwhile, internal governance reforms continue to unfold. Following the administrative restructuring that eliminated the district Huyen level and merged many communes and provinces, scrutiny has turned to how power is concentrated and how local accountability can be preserved. At the same time, authorities are pushing criteria for large investment approvals to include oversight by security or regulatory bodies, essentially granting more control to central agencies over economic decisions at the local level. This balance between streamlining governance and preserving local responsiveness is an ongoing tension within the party's reform agenda. Another emerging political dynamic involves Vietnam's digital sphere. According to recent reports, Vietnam has already seen over $220 billion in crypto asset flows in 2025, up 55% year-on-year. In response, the Politburo has issued Resolution 57, promoting science, innovation, and digital transformation as engines of growth, while Resolution 05/2025 sets pilot frameworks for crypto trading, licensing, and regulatory guardrails. As Vietnam positions itself to integrate fintech and blockchain more deeply, political oversight and legal clarity will be pivotal to prevent regulatory gaps or speculative excess. Economy. Now, let's move to the economy. Vietnam's macroeconomic numbers remain robust. In the third quarter of 2025, GDP expanded by 8.22% year-on-year, surpassing expectations and accelerating from the second quarter's revised growth. This performance brings the country closer to its annual target of 8.3 to 8.5%, even despite headwinds from U.S. tariffs. Exports in Q3 rose by 18.4% year-on-year. Imports also surged, and Vietnam registered a trade surplus of approximately $8.9 billion in the quarter. Over the first 9 months, the trade surplus reached $16.8 billion, while total trade turnover topped $680 billion. Yet the surge in growth is tempered by external and environmental risks. The U.S. 20% tariff on Vietnamese goods, effective from August, has caused sharp declines in sectors like footwear, which dropped 27% month-on-month in September, and textiles. At the same time, Typhoon Bua Loi wreaked havoc across central Vietnam. Recent estimates place the death toll at 51, with losses of over 230,000 homes damaged or flooded. The total cost of damage now stands at roughly 15.9 trillion dong, around $603 million. The central bank has urged lenders to restructure or freeze loans for affected businesses to cushion the recovery. To fuel growth amidst uncertainty, the central bank has declared growth a top priority. It projects credit growth of 19 to 20% in 2025 and emphasizes the need for lower lending rates, while also stressing vigilance against non-performing loans and speculative bubbles. Meanwhile, Vietnam is awaiting a key decision by FTSE Russell on whether its stock market can be upgraded from frontier to emerging status, a switch that could attract billions in foreign inflows. A successful upgrade would elevate Vietnam into the same index class as China and India, unlocking a wave of passive investment, though such reclassification would take time to implement. Society and culture. Next, in society and culture. On the ground, communities continue the grueling work of post-typhoon recovery. Many residents remain displaced. Infrastructure is being rebuilt, and agricultural losses have deeply affected rural incomes. The disaster is a stark reminder of Vietnam's vulnerability to climate extremes and has renewed calls for more resilient infrastructure, better drainage systems, and more adaptive agricultural planning. Culturally, Vietnam is asserting a more ambitious role on the world stage. At this year's Mondia Cult Conference, the government proposed a decade of culture for sustainable development, emphasizing culture's role in climate awareness, innovation, digital heritage, and human rights. Across nations, Vietnam is organizing Vietnam Days in major cities, promoting art, cuisine, and tourism to strengthen its cultural diplomacy and soften its global image. Meanwhile, domestically, the arts and heritage sectors are becoming integrated into broader economic and social strategies. Heritage cities such as Hue, Hoi An, and Ha Long Bay are receiving investment and attention, not just as tourist draws, but as living communities rooted in identity and tradition. Cultural policy is no longer peripheral. It is being woven into national planning. International relations. Finally, in international relations, Vietnam is walking a delicate line in its foreign engagements. The upcoming visit to North Korea may seem anomalous from a trade perspective. Hanoi and Pyongyang currently have negligible economic ties, but it carries symbolic weight that reinforces Vietnam's ideological consistency even as it pursues diversified global relationships. Simultaneously, Vietnam has been striking strategic deals elsewhere. During the Saudi-Vietnam Business Forum in Hanoi, 5 new investment agreements were signed, spanning infrastructure, tourism, furniture manufacturing, human resources, and construction, underscoring Saudi Arabia's role as an emerging, non-traditional investor. On the integration front, Vietnam is pushing for deeper linkage with global capital flows. The FTSE market upgrade decision is central here, as it would reposition Vietnam in global index funds and diversify foreign investor access. Meanwhile, Russia has expressed willingness to help Vietnam join BRICS as a partner country, though Hanoi remains cautious about possible geopolitical backlash, especially from the U.S. Regionally, Vietnam continues cultivating ties with its strategic partners. It maintains comprehensive strategic partnerships with countries such as China, the United States, Japan, South Korea, and ASEAN neighbors. China, in particular, has emphasized stability and enhanced cooperation in recent diplomatic visits, positioning Vietnam as a buffer in larger geopolitical contests. Vietnam's foreign policy continues evolving, not tethered to ideology alone, but calibrated toward trade, connectivity, security, and climate resilience. Thank you for listening to the Vietnam Social News Update. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you again tomorrow. This news summary is based on publicly available reports and rewritten uniquely for Vietnam Social News. VietnamNews.com is the official web address of Vietnam Social News. We are an independent platform, not affiliated with Vietnam News Agency or any government-owned media outlet.